the world explodes. 1 second, I'm watching a puff of smoke. The next, the entire north face of the mountain is gone. A monstrous, boiling black cloud, shot through with lightning, is hurtling towards me at hundreds of miles per hour. There's nowhere to run, no time to think. This is it. This is how it ends. May 18th, 1980. Mount St. Helens. For weeks, the volcano had been rumbling, a sleeping giant stirring in its slumber. Geologists and volcanologists, like the legendary David Johnston, were monitoring it day and night. Johnston had set up his observation post just 6 miles from the summit, believing he was at a safe distance. His last words, radioed in a frantic burst, were, "Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it." Then silence. The eruption that followed was catastrophic, equivalent to a 24-megaton bomb. It didn't just erupt upwards, it exploded sideways. This lateral blast, a superheated wave of ash, gas, and pulverized rock, flattened 230 square miles of dense forest in minutes. Trees that had stood for centuries were snapped like twigs. The cloud, a pyroclastic flow, was an apocalyptic nightmare. Temperatures reaching over 600 degrees Fahrenheit. It moved faster than the speed of sound, vaporizing everything in its path. Lakes boiled, rivers turned to mudflows, carrying boulders the size of cars. The sky went black as night, and a blizzard of hot ash began to fall, burying the landscape under a suffocating gray blanket. Caught in this hellscape were dozens of people, campers, loggers, and residents who had refused to evacuate. Harry R. Truman, the 83-year-old owner of the Spirit Lake Lodge, had become a local folk hero for defiantly staying put. He and his lodge were buried under 150 feet of avalanche debris. He was never seen again. But others, by sheer chance or incredible fortitude, survived the initial blast, only to find themselves in a new alien world. Imagine being there. You're thrown violently by the shockwave. Your vehicle is battered and buried. You crawl out into a world without color. Everything is gray. The air is thick with acrid dust, making every breath feel like inhaling sandpaper. It's eerily silent, except for the hiss of falling ash and the distant, terrifying rumble of the mountain. Your eyes sting. Your throat is raw. Visibility is near zero. You are completely, utterly alone in a monochrome wasteland where just moments before there was a vibrant green forest. For the survivors, the ordeal was just beginning. Rescue was not guaranteed. In fact, it seemed impossible. The landscape was unrecognizable, obliterated. One survivor, a logger named Jim Simanki, was thrown hundreds of feet by the blast. He suffered severe burns and internal injuries, but managed to crawl and stumble through the ash fields for miles. He described the ground as being hot enough to melt the rubber soles of his boots. He was driven by one thought: getting back to his family. Another group of 4 campers survived by hunkering down in a reinforced camper van. They endured the terrifying roar, the intense heat that warped the vehicle around them, and the suffocating ash that seeped through every crack. For days they were trapped, rationing what little food and water they had, their only guide a small compass as they tried to navigate a world without landmarks. Every direction looked the same, a desolate, gray desert. Their journey out was a grueling trek through a hazardous maze of fallen trees and deep ash. The search and rescue efforts were monumental. Helicopter pilots flew into conditions that were beyond dangerous, their rotor blades getting pitted by the abrasive ash. They navigated by memory and instruments, peering through the gloom for any sign of life. They found people huddled in the wreckage of their homes, waving from the roofs of buried cars, or wandering deliriously through the gray dust. One of the most dramatic rescues was of a group who had been trapped for days, their signal fire a faint wisp of smoke against a gray sky. When the helicopter finally landed, the survivors were exhausted, dehydrated, but alive. Pulling them from that toxic landscape was like lifting ghosts from a forgotten world. They had witnessed the raw, untamable power of nature and had lived to tell the tale. The story of Mount St. Helens isn't just about the destructive force of a volcano. It's a testament to human resilience, the will to survive against impossible odds, and the courage of the rescuers who risked their own lives in the gray, suffocating aftermath. These weren't characters in a movie. They were real people who walked through a real-life apocalypse, and somehow they made it out. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more true survival stories. See you next time.